Welcome to FP Executive. I'm joined today by Jacoline Loewen. We're very honored to have Jacoline Loewen here today. Jacoline is the author of Money Magnet, a great book. Go out and buy one. And also the managing director of Loewen and Partners, and with expertise in private equity. And private equity is a mysterious world for many people out there. But you are going to enlighten us on this and talk a little bit about it today. So welcome to FP Executive.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
Thank you very much. I wanted to talk a little bit about financing growth. I know that over the past year, the venture capital market, for example, seems to have dried up quite a bit. There's many people who have businesses that they think have great potential. They're having a hard time finding equity to support that growth. 2010, new year, maybe some new optimism. What advice would you have for people who are looking to get into the venture capital market to get some money into their own pockets to grow their business?
Well, with private, first of all, let's talk about private equity, the phrase private equity.
Sure.
And actually, it should just be called private money.
Okay, private money.
Or private capital, because you can get debt.
Right.
As well as having people buy a piece of ownership or equity into your business.
Okay.
So, and with that comes mathematical fit. So when you're starting off a business, the type of investor that's going to be interested in getting into your company, yes, they're going to want equity.
Okay.
They're going to want some ownership. And as you get to be a bigger company, 10 million revenue plus, your options widen a great deal. And you no longer have to go to the bank for money, and especially if you're gutsy enough to want to grow.
Interesting.
And a lot of owners don't know that. A lot of their private accountants and lawyers don't understand. This is a very new industry for companies that are under 200 million.
Okay.
Because before, private equity really was for the big boys. KKR, those sort of glamorous.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're getting Charlie Sheen coming in to ransack their company. And it's not like that at all. And although there are sharks out there.
Well, let's talk a little bit about first we'll talk a little bit about giving up a bit of that ownership stake in order to grow. And then we can move into that market that's out there that people don't know about. When for example, someone is putting together a business plan. And one of the things that I've often heard is that entrepreneurs actually don't like risk. They like to transfer the risk onto the investors that are investing in, but obviously it doesn't work that way. If you're going to a venture capitalist and you're going to be, you really think you need to give up some ownership there? You're probably going to have to give up some ownership in your company.
If you are under 10 million revenue, yes, you are going to probably be looking at that. I mean, I would try and encourage you to go to mom and dad and your crazy aunt. Although your dinner conversations at Thanksgiving dinners might not be that great next year if you haven't made your revenues. I would encourage you to try and, claw your way up that cliffside as much as possible before giving ownership. You're quite right to hang on to as much of it as you can for as long as you can. But then it does come a point where, you should take private equity. If you're in the technology industry, if you're in a high growth, like a business that can scale really, really fast, definitely get in your private equity partners because they're going to really help you. They have deeper pockets, obviously. They've got big Rolodexes. They've already had success. They know the templates to bring to you and show you how to do it. So, when you've got a big brother like that, they deserve to have some ownership. And, think about it. If you had a house and you had a real estate agent and you said to that real estate agent, I'm going to give you 35% of this house. And over the next 5 years, we're going to develop this house and I'm going to sell it at the end of 5 years. And you're going to be part of that sales and you're going to get some of that upside. Do you think you're going to have a different relationship with that real estate person?
Well, I think that real estate agent probably wouldn't want to just flip it quickly. They'd be invested in the long term.
Right. And do you think they're going to put in the flashy, cheap things?
I would hope not. But I would hope they wouldn't spend too much, though.
Right. And they're going to tell you, no, don't worry about changing the bathroom. White is fine. And white will sell. And they're going to tell you, you know what, putting in that big window and that French doors in the kitchen, going out into the yard, is a good idea?
Well, this is interesting because what you're suggesting then, it's not simply an injection of capital, it's also an injection of knowledge and advice that you get from a venture capitalist partner.
if you've chosen the right venture capitalist partner. And a lot of people get desperate and they'll go for, the Sopranos type with the knuckle rings. That's what you have to be very careful about, because your image, your brand, your reputation will depend on who has come into your business.
Yeah, how does someone go about accessing venture capital? I mean, do you have to put together a business plan? That's sort of step one? Or?
I hate to say a business is sold on a business plan. It's not.
Okay.
It's definitely so many more things than that. It's putting yourself out there. I mean, I've had people, I've put them through to Dragon's Den, for example.
Okay.
And a lot of people have told me, no, I don't want to go in Dragon's Den because they're going to make me look stupid.
Right.
Well, actually, no. You can go on Dragon's Den. It's infotainment.
Right.
They're using you to be entertaining.
Yes.
You can use Kevin Leary to be entertaining. Make a deal with him. Afterwards, break it. If you want to be like that, like market yourself, you have to take those big risks. One of the fellows that I got to go on there, he ended up doing a deal. He didn't do it afterwards. He won audience favorite vote. I think he got $50,000. He phoned me from the street outside CBC. I've just got $50,000. I introduced him to, there are venture capital funds in the city. I then introduced him to the venture capital fund because I was satisfied, this guy's got guts. He's kind of crazy. And that's what you want. People, you're going to get punched in the face every day as an entrepreneur.
Right.
You have to get up tomorrow and be optimistic again.
Right.
You have to have hope all the time. And so because he'd proven himself to me that way, I took a risk and I introduced him to a venture capital fund. They gave him money. And then I also introduced him to some sports goods companies. He's then taken that. His company's now worth $4 million.
Wow. So this is about putting yourself on the map in terms of, or at least on the stage that people who are interested in investing can see you and have a sense of assessing how determined you are.
Yes.
And whether you are a good investment or not.
It's you, because actually, interesting enough, this fellow, I met him through the Ivy Business Plan competition. That's the other thing. If you're young, go in these business plan competitions. I know that TIE, TIE, has a business plan competition happening right now.
Interesting.
This is an Indian entrepreneur group. There's all these places that you can go showcase yourself, and you should be stressing yourself. Do the plan. I'll read the plan. I mean, this fellow I was talking about who was at the Ivy Business Plan competition, he didn't even make it to the finals.
Interesting.
But everyone who was watching him thought, this guy's dynamic. He had a funny product. Probably he could do with a much better product. I mean, what he could do with that. And if he came to Bay Street now to get a job, he could write the ticket to any job he could want.
Well, you mentioned Bay Street. In the second part of our interview, let's talk about how we can cut out the banks and find that private equity.
Well, banks should be able to help you. The bank should know private equity. So you should just ask your banker, do you know anything about private equity?
But do they want to? Let's wait for our second part, and we'll come back and talk about that.